Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. 1 minute late, 1 minute late. So, as usual, if you're watching the VOD, I'm just going to wait for people to log in and say hello and let me know in the comments if they're here. And most importantly, if they can hear me. So I'm going to cover the subject of this coding careers in 2026. I'll kind of do my little presentation on that, pretty short. And then I'm going to do the Q&A. You can ask me anything about software development and so on. This is the main reason for the live is, I guess, is for the Q&A, I suppose, and the conversation. So welcome to the stream. Please let me know in the comments. Say Johnny from California, Gunther from Düsseldorf. Let me know where you are watching from. So, and let me know if you can hear me very clearly. And then we'll jump into it. I'm all stimulated with my cafe, so. Anyhow, that's it. So if you're watching this VOD, that means it was worth watching. If you're not watching this VOD, that means it wasn't worth watching. So, yeah, there's not too many people coming on yet. Small group today so far, but that's okay. So I got my notes. Yeah, everything's good. All right, good. Thanks for letting me know. Cool. You know what? I'm just going to jump into it, and people will come late. They're just going to watch the replay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about coding careers in 2026, and I've been poking around looking at what is out there, not just in the developer world, but more important in the business world. If you don't know me, I've done a lot of, I've been in business for a long time. Last time I had a job, I was a bouncer in a nightclub. That was decades ago. So, all right. So number one, the software development game is now going through a change. It's going through those changes that we see every so often. And of course, that change is we're moving into another abstracted layer of software development, which is the AIs, no code, low code. Now, that does not mean that you can get away with not knowing how to code. There's no question about it. So you have to know how to code. So my favorite technology stack in terms of development, is still the web, although there's going to be jobs in all these areas. You see, as somebody just pointed out here, boom, fix AI generate code will be huge. Yeah, 100%. They're already seeing that. We're already seeing that. See, I believe AI has its uses. There's no question. But right now, they're doing what's inevitable. They're learning how to use it. And just having it write a bunch of code without controls is going to be is problematic because it creates a bunch of slop code, and it just doesn't work out. So yeah, that's the thing. So I'm here to encourage you. The development's not going anywhere. It's just changing a little bit. I think at the end of the day, AI will ultimately maybe improve productivity as much, maybe 25, 35% over the next few years. And all that means is it doesn't replace coders. It just means that the jobs are going to get, the amount of software that's going to go out is going to be accelerated, which means that the quality of the software that's going to go out is going to be better, just like it has in the past. So right now we use frameworks and libraries that are often, that we did not have 15 years ago. And if you look at today's web apps, they're far more sophisticated. You get there much more quickly than you would otherwise, than you did before. So that's just the way it is. So let me answer a couple questions. Everything is good. We got this one. How would you market yourself as a freelancer other than doing small projects or selling for free? Well, once you got to do those couple projects for free. It's kind of, you got to consider that the last stage of learning. Because a lot about being a developer is being able to deal with clients, handle requirements, deliver on time. It's not just about writing the code. It's not just about building things. It's about those interactions. to be very successful as a freelancer, you have to set expectations and meet expectations. It's very important. You can write the best code ever, but if the expectations of the client are not met, it's not going to work out too good for you. So, yeah, you have to do those first two projects. Then you got to put up a website that looks really good. It's very important that it looks really good, because otherwise, if it doesn't look very good, that's how they're going to judge you, right? So it has to look very good, number one. You can start building a profile on maybe one of those sites. I'm not sure. Like, I've heard of people who make very good money on even some of those low ball sites like a Fiverr or something. But it's the way you position yourself, it's the way you bid on contracts. It makes a big deal. Now, if you are in a wealthier country, local market is where you want to probably mine, because that's where you're going to see most opportunity. So I hope that answers that question. So build up a website, do the first 2 or 3, then start just talking to people, letting people know. And what you want to do is you want to look around for opportunity. Where, if you're offering exactly what everybody else is offering, it will be more difficult. But, it could be WordPress. It could be AI chatbots. Who knows? It depends. What you find as you get more of a reputation, as you build more and more clients, you will find that the level of sophistication in the project will just increase accordingly. So you got to eat those crappy jobs the first few, right? It's just like a fighter. Professional fighters don't get to fight on the title card the first few fights, right? They gotta fight the undercards when it's not playing on TV for a while. Hey, Uncle, what's your opinion as software QA testers as a career? I took a course that was 9% manual and little to no code automation. I'm very weak in my understanding of SQLs and APIs. I haven't looked at that in terms of testing, but I see that as being still viable even with AI. Again, I would learn a little bit about coding. I would do a JavaScript course and a Python course. Probably a lot of Python is used in that space. I would learn a lot of JavaScript as well. You don't have to be master, just understand the basics so you can work your way around it. Understand how the server code runs, how the client-side code runs, and work on the automation. You said you're very weak in understanding SQL and APIs. Well, that's it. That's why you learn these things. And don't be afraid to leverage AI to speed up your learning. 100%. 100%. So, I don't want to, not to sell my program, but that's what I teach. I teach what you need to give you the light touch, so you need what you need and you move on from there. But yeah, learning how to code just so you get your mind wrapped around the concepts, very important, even in the AI age. Happy holidays, Stef. Thank you. Thanks for joining the stream, everybody. Code long and profit. Job market seems to want automation testers, and I just know manual. So learn automation, man. When the going gets tough, you skill up. You skill up, right? You increase your skills. You get better at what you're doing. That's the key. Just become incredibly valuable. Your best investment is in your own skill sets, and that includes technical skills. That includes communication skills, soft skills. You want to become somebody that is indispensable. Part of that is not just technical, it's just being somebody they want around. Trust me, you do that, it's fantastic. One thing you also want to do is you want to protect your reputation. Your reputation is more important, especially nowadays, because if you have a great reputation, even if you go broke, that great reputation can be used to rebuild your finances pretty darn quick. But if you have a poor reputation, then you're going to be in a bad situation. So protect your reputation. So if you need to learn automation, then learn automation. Again, don't be afraid to use AI to speed up the process. It's not really changing for the better, though. Everything is buggy. Everything does not work. I think we will need to pivot more into precision rather than productivity. Yeah, it could be. See, the problem is what they're doing with AI, I think some people are using incorrectly. I'm starting to see more and more of that, where they're trying to get AI to do everything. AI should be used to do handle certain problem spots. So for example, I talked about in other videos, I had a bug on one of my old apps, so I used the AI to scan my server log file, and I used the AI to scan the web to find exactly what config files and what I needed to write into the HD access. So it took 2 hours of work and made it like 5-10 minutes. That's where it's productive. Telling the AI to build me a full-blown web app that is like Twitter, it's not going to work. You may get some half-baked thing that's broken and full of messy code that's impossible to debug. Hello, hello. How you doing? Welcome everybody to the stream. If you don't mind, everybody, give the thumbs so the algorithm knows what's going on, and also tell me where you are from. So tell me, Roy Big Dog, where are you from? Roy Big Dog from, I don't know, California, from I don't know, wherever you happen to be, Georgia. I always like to know where everybody is. No problems, Dimitri. Do you ever run AI in agentic mode? And if so, do you also use Markdown or context values that are specifically designed to provide different context for the agent? I have not done that yet. I have played around with different agents. See, the AI space is becoming very interesting to me. It's not just about the large language models. The large language models are Grok and Gemini, Anthropic, and of course, ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT the most at this point, although I heard Gemini they each have their strengths and weaknesses. But where it's very interesting to me is the downstream from the LLMs, the downstream products, the downstream agents that are out there. That's interesting to me. So I did an ad for a company, I think it was called Abacus. You can go, it's one of my previous videos, where they have a bunch of agents that they've trained. And agents that do very particular tasks. And it's very useful. So the problem with the big, large language models, they're trained on everything. So they have a much higher chance of hallucination, a much higher chance of just making mistakes. But when you have a much more trained model, like some of these agents are, or like my fitness app, I have a Brad Fit, the fitness app, it doesn't hallucinate because it's trained on a very strict set of protocols. Those downstream tools, you can think of each of them as libraries that you can leverage if you're a software developer, as a library or as a new language, if you will. Very cool. So you want to look at those downstream tools as well. Yeah. Again, let me just say, it's none of these things take away from software development. They're just like the new tool sets on top of it. I'm telling you, you have to use AI effectively. It's going to come out. People are going to realize it more and more and more. They're going to realize it in about 2 years from now, or a year from now. People are going to say, yeah, to use AI to develop apps, you need to know app development. It's become it's going to become known. I've seen it so many times where new technology comes out and everybody goes, oh my God, this new technology comes out. Oh, the old stuff is no good. And then you find out the new technology kind of works this much. So I think AI is going to work this much, which is big. I'm thinking maybe upwards of 35% productivity gain over the next few years. But you still need to know what you're doing. There's no question about that. Should we spend money on marketing when starting out? No. You should be hustling in terms of, talking to people, posting on, finding Twitter groups of developers, putting out a really beautiful website of your own, which is showcasing your skills. Find some nonprofits to do work for. When I first started freelancing, I did some crappy jobs. I was lucky I got a legal firm in, I think it was 94, 95. I built their website, but that's because I was like the only web designer in the world, in the city. So it was low-hanging fruit, but that's the opportunity AI, by the way. As I mentioned in previous videos and streams, just within a couple months, within a month, I had like 4 different small businesses reach out to me asking me about if I could help them with some AI implementation. Basically some chatbot or some agent they wanted me to build. I don't do contract work. I haven't done that in a while, so I didn't do it. But point is, I wasn't even advertising. So you just got to hustle. You hustle. That's what I do with the web design. When I first started web designing and web development, when I first started web development back in the day, sometimes I go into businesses and I say, you need a website. And they used to go to me, what's a website? Or they would say to me, who needs a website? That's useless. I got that. That's okay. That's okay because no. So I'm telling you, AI is the same. My friend has an AI development company, and he had unlimited work in terms of developing chatbots, custom chatbots for people. See what else? Welcome to the stream. And Ozzy has passed away. I love Black Sabbath, so I have to give him a salute a while back. Do you recommend taking as much as possible when you start freelancing and scale down when you get overwhelmed, or the opposite? Take on what you can, especially if you're young. See, when you're young, you have the gift of youth and energy. So take advantage of that. Don't kill yourself in the sense where you want to make sure if you tell your client you're going to deliver on January 5th, deliver on January 4th. Be sure you can hit those numbers, because that's the worst thing you can do is be late. So if you can be on time, even if you have to work overtime, like I would skip going out some nights with friends, partying when I was in my 20s writing code because I had to get a project out. I would just do the work because you have to play the long game. I remember when I developed my first, was it my first SaaS? It could have been my first SaaS, my dating app. So I had a dating app, and I would work on it like Friday night until like 10, 11 o'clock at night before I head out to go meet my buddies to go party. You have to be dedicated. So when you're younger, you gotta grind when you're younger, because when you get older, you don't have as much energy necessarily unless you take care of yourself. But still, so don't be afraid to grind when you're starting out. That's the key. But smart about it. So take it as much as you can. If you have that opportunity, people are struggling, take it as much. When you're freelancing, ultimately, you want to have a nice stable of clients. I'm saying, what do I mean by it? You want to have like a good, somewhere between 5 to 10 clients going when you're, what's going on here? That's auto, that's why. You want to have a good stable of clients when you're freelancing, so that when one client drops off for 2 months, which will happen, you have a bunch of others. Ultimately, it's good to have like upwards of near 10 clients or more that you're rotating, because so if one client pisses you off and you need to get rid of them, you have a whole bunch of other clients you can rely on. The worst thing you can do as a freelancer is to have only 1 or 2 clients. That is a horrible thing to be in. You don't want to be that, because then you become too dependent on them. I found out that PHP Laravel is very popular outside of Silicon Valley. This is true. I am trying to get jobs outside of California now. Oh, very good. Yeah, PHP Laravel, I've talked about this. I beat this horse to death. I was a Java developer. I wrote apps in C# and .NET and many other things. I found that for web apps, PHP with Laravel is hyper productive. It's a good technology stack. I'm in Montreal, by the way, as well. Cool, man. It's getting cold out there. Got the website going, trying to get that first client. It's a side hustle outside of main software development career. That's it. Just keep pushing it, man. Keep pushing it. Keep trying to talk to people. Eventually, you'll break through. That's for sure. How can I shift from mid-DevOps BE roles to launching a profitable SaaS? Oh, launching a SaaS. You can find on my YouTube channel videos where I talk about how to launch a SaaS. SaaS development, like any other product, is not so much about the technology you use, it's about problems that you're solving. A good SaaS business could be ordering chatbot systems for small restaurants. That's one of the gigs I was approached about doing. That would be a good idea. So you're going to have to explore that. In terms of freedom and in terms of income, jobs are here. Freelance is here, meaning you could have more freedom with freelancing and more money with freelancing if you learn how to build that business properly. And then on top is I would put contracting in there with freelancing, I guess. And then on top of that is the SaaS. The SaaS is unlimited, right? But it's the hardest. It's also, the job is easier to get going for most people than to get your freelance going and to get your contracting going, or of course to build the SaaS. The SaaS is the longest typically and the hardest to do, but it also could be the most profitable. So I built a few SaaSes that have been pretty good over time. Thanks for the answer, Uncle. No problem. Thanks for joining the stream. It's I enjoy doing these things. Can we still survive with WordPress? Yeah, I think so. Any market, it's always about supply and demand, right? It's always about supply and demand. And there's so many WordPress installs out there, and developers have been against learning and using WordPress for so long that there's kind of this giant niche there that could be worked. I would continue, if you're making money with WordPress, keep doing it. But again, I highly recommend that you learn the AI stuff. Learn all these tools that you could leverage. Like I'm doing a video. I did a video. I'm just editing. I'm gonna put it out where, like, for example, we got big players like PayPal. They're now putting out tool sets for AI to be able to communicate with their back-end payment processing systems. So the big opportunity there is for you to be one of the first developers who understands the PayPal AI integration stack, if you will. So you can offer these innovative new style of online payments that other people don't know how to do. And if you learn all the PayPal stuff, start tweeting about it, talking about it, maybe PayPal will create some sort of infrastructure so that they can hook you up with clients, you know. I see that happening. Like Wix does that, by the way. Wix, the website builder. So they have a Wix marketplace, and you can go on there and provide, I think you can build components and so forth, so passive income. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure about that. But also, there's just a bunch of people who will look for Wix professionals to hire to make some modifications to their Wix sites, right? There's all these different levels of development. There we go. Write lots of code and do not be afraid. Go outside from your comfort zone. Yeah, this is very important to be a good developer. Yeah, you always got to be learning something new. That's why, like in my mentoring program / bootcamp, I teach 3 programming languages. I teach JavaScript, PHP, and I teach Python. And I show you how each of those languages are generally used, you know. And the first language is the hardest to learn. The second, you learn it in like 10% of the time. The third, you learn it in 5% of the time. So, but so you start with JavaScript, then you do some Python. When you learn Python, it will give you insight into JavaScript. By learning Python, you will become better at JavaScript, and vice versa. Outside of full stack, what are skills you think every junior should have? Learn to communicate really well. Learn to write concisely, succinctly. Be terse in your writing style. So when you're communicating with coworkers or your boss or your clients, you can communicate very, very well. So that's the empathy skills and the good writing skills. Believe it or not, I've read surveys where they've asked recruiters, what do they look for in tech when they're hiring tech people, when they're hiring programmers? The second thing they look for is interpersonal skills. So develop those interpersonal skills. In terms of technical, once you know your full stack, learn refactoring. If you look under this video, there's a link to a refactoring book. Refactoring is a process of code cleanup. And there's these set ways of doing things. There's a guy, Fowler, Fowler, he wrote the book. And by learning refactoring, you'll learn how to clean up code, but also teach you how to write cleaner code right from the beginning. Hello, how you doing? From Sweden, Minneapolis, very cool. Macedonia, nice. Tunisia, Texas. We're in Texas. I went to Texas a couple of times. Love Austin. Best barbecue in the world is in Texas. New York City, very cool. Yeah, I'm just north of you. Sacramento, California, nice. Hello, Stefan. What programming language are best for freelancing? PHP and JavaScript. PHP and JavaScript are best for freelancing, for sure. North Carolina, for me, Grok is the best. Not very good. Yeah, I was working with Grok, working in ChatGPT. I've done a little bit of Gemini work. They each have their strengths, so you have to, again, imagine you are a software developer, just like when you're a software developer and a client comes to you, or you go to a client and you say, I want to build an app that does this, this, and this. It's up to you as the professional developer to be able to suggest or tell them, okay, these are the best technologies given what your requirements are. So whether it be PHP or JavaScript or C# or Java, if I'll tell you, the last contract I did as a contractor, way back in the day, the whole company ran on .NET and Excel spreadsheets. .NET and Excel spreadsheets. So what made sense for me to do everything? In PHP? No. .NET. So, and I needed to read and write to Excel spreadsheets. So the way they worked, when they wanted to update their database, they had this Excel spreadsheet with all their prices and so forth, and they would pass it around between the VPs. And that was kind of they operated a whole business off of this Excel sheet, believe it or not. So they wanted me to set it up so that they could just upload the Excel sheet to the server, and then the application would read that Excel sheet, pull out the data, and then populate the store. I know, I said, well, why don't we just build a store online, do it that way? No. It's all about the Excel sheet. So I had to build that. So that was best given that circumstance because they were using Excel and they were all on Microsoft, blah, blah, blah. So it made sense. Another situation, I remember I was in a job and they had an app in PHP and I didn't like PHP. I looked at it briefly. I thought it was garbage compared to Java. And they insisted it had to be in PHP because we're not having part of an app in PHP and the other part in Java. So, okay, I wrote in Java. So your job as a developer is to be able to inform the client exactly what application, what implementation. When I say what implementation, I mean what technologies are best given the needs of their job. AI comes into that, right? Grok might be good for certain types of applications. GPT might be good for others, and so on. So, for example, for my fitness coach, which is an AI first-based application, I couldn't get it to work on Grok because Grok didn't have certain capabilities that ChatGPT had. Same with Gemini. I did not test Anthropic Claude, but to my amazement, this key capability, basically image analysis, I couldn't get Grok to do it, and I couldn't get Gemini to do it. Only GPT could do it. So now, if I go see a client and they needed to do real-time image analysis, I would know right from there, you got to use GPT. We got to start there at least, So AI developers are going to understand the LLMs, are going to understand the various downstream tool sets that people have built, like various agents. So you can come in and say, okay, I am a developer who happens to know the AI space really well, and I know all the different models, basically what they can do and what they can't do. And I know some of the downstream agents and tools that people have built based on the models. You see where I'm going with this? So you can come in there and it's like be very valuable to people. Do you read messages here or just pre-recorder messages? Now I'm reading the messages live. This is live, man. There's a little bit of a delay. Oh, by the way, thanks for coming. If you can give me some thumbs, I appreciate it. A thumbs up for the content. Important to learn how to keep code in order to manage code and thereby be able to make code grow without losing speed. Order and structure is vital. Yeah, 100%. That's one of the problems with AI code. It's very sloppy. It's sloppy code and very hard to update if you get it to work in the first place. And that's what people are discovering. And so that's why when you use AI to help develop, you have to use it in very controlled ways. Very controlled ways. Now, this is live. I'm answering, I've never seen these questions. People are sending me this stuff live. Hold on. All right. I hope you like the stream, guys. I used to do a ton of these lives. I'm back now. I don't know. I just feel like doing it again. So this is 100% true. The difference between great developers and not so great, the great developers are able to write clean, simple code that's easy to update. I from CT, Connecticut, I'm guessing there. I'm an associate full stack developer. For each task, I keep a living markdown file where I document the problem, iterations, and explanations from code so I can understand the solution deeply. Yeah, exactly. Should I learn Python? Why not? You know, if you mean as your first language, or do you just have an interest in Python? See, my belief about programming languages, they all have their place. It just depends the type of work you want to do, you know? Like if you were to ask me, should I learn Python? I want to work on server automations and maybe dabble with AI. I said, yeah, that makes a good choice. JavaScript too. But if you said to me, I want to become a freelancer, I would say, no, then learn PHP. Or I want to work with, I don't know, build games. Maybe C#, maybe Python. Write code good and save it. You always remember your own code and be able to go back to code to see how can you solve things is super. Yeah, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Code should be self-describing. I think that, code should be self-describing. That's one of the rules, meaning if you write good code, I should be able to read the code, look at the method names, look at the variable names, and be able to determine what's going on pretty easily. If the code is so complex that I have to dig into comments and so forth, that's not well-written code. From a career perspective, is it wiser for a front-end developer to focus on becoming full stack and use AI as a productivity booster, or to concentrate primarily on AI itself? I would learn the full stack because you can get your head wrapped around. If you know the front end, you could probably learn enough of the full stack. You don't have to be a master. Just understand the full stack. 100 hours of work maybe. Not much. But I would also integrate the AI. You should be a full stack developer who really knows AI well. That will make you very, very powerful in the marketplace. I love Ruby. Okay, how do I ban this guy? That's a joke. If my freelance clients want a form on their website, is it more secure for me to build it myself or recommend they use a third-party service? Well, forms are not inherently insecure. It depends. The only time I would use a third-party service is that there's some back-end functionality in that third-party service that you don't want to have to reproduce yourself, or you're correcting credit card information. You want to offload that off the local server. Just offload that off to other people's servers. Other than that, I would, it's all about, like, again, forms, it depends what your type of information you're collecting. Everything, HTTPS of your form, and you should be good, but I just gave you the rules. What is the best way to market your project? I heard face ads are a great way. It depends. Face, you mean Facebook. It depends on the market you're targeting. If you're targeting boomers, yes, Facebook is great. If you're targeting Gen Z, I don't think Facebook would be great. TikTok will probably be better there. So it depends on the demographic that you're targeting. So each social network has its own demographic, right? If you were building an app, a finance app, probably better on X, right? That's where all the finance guys are, on X. So it depends what you're doing. If you had to start over from scratch today, what would you do most differently from what you did? I remember you saying you used books when you started. Well, it depends. Back in the day, I wouldn't change anything except for selling my Apple stock in 2009. I shouldn't have sold it. I made good money on Apple and I sold it, even though I figured Apple was going to be a huge company. That basically cost me millions and millions of dollars having sold it so early. And I didn't need to sell it. I was just got stupid. So if I had to start over from scratch, now back then I would do exactly what I did because I made the right choices. What would you do differently? Well, I wouldn't have shut down my dating site. I shut down my dating site because it became an adult dating site, which I was kind of uncomfortable with that, which is silly of me. Got filled with swingers. I've talked about that in other videos. Florida swingers, no doubt, no less. But I shouldn't have shut that down. Should have kept that going because I had a bunch of, I had 17,000 members on that site. That's back in the day when 17,000 was good. But anyway, what would I do different? Today, I would do when I'm teaching you guys. Learn the foundations of the web stack, jump into AI. I think the big opportunity is AI. Also, start investing. I would start investing and holding quite younger. The longer, there's an old expression for investing. It's not about timing the market. It's about time in the market. That's the key to getting wealthy. So what does that mean? When you're trying to time the market, you're trying to guess when the stock is at its lowest or sell at its highest. That's a fool's game. You may get lucky once in a while, but in the end, you'll make much less than if you just buy and hold for the long term. That's the mistake I made with Apple. I bought Apple, and it went up 60%, and I said, woohoo, and I sold. And then it went back down. I was feeling like the king. But then I forgot about Apple, and it kept going up and up and up and up and up and up, and literally cost me millions and millions of dollars by not holding. So I don't know how I got into that. So that's what I would do differently. When you're investing, invest for the long term, be highly diversified, concentrate on keep building your skills. I did that right. Keep building your skills, but invest for the long term. You forget it. Once you buy, now when I buy investments, whether it be a stock, a house, or whatever it is, I'm holding it for many years, if not forever now. Because I went back and I did the calculations. Even if I would have kept all my stock investments, even all my losers, and just held everything, I'd be up, just with Apple, up many millions. So, that's what I would do for different today. The issue that I have shifting to SaaS is time. I am 22 years old, 2 works plus student. I don't know if I should quit one job and focus on my SaaS, or I don't know. What is your advice for me? Okay, 22, let me tell you something. I would give away all my money, and my girlfriend, especially the last one, to be 22 again. And you grab Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, he's in his mid-50s. I bet you if you told him, if you can be 22 again, Elon, would you give away all your money to be 22 again? 100%. So that's a great place to be. 22 is a great time. Great time. You have plenty of time on your hand. Now's the time to hustle. You don't quit your job until you see the SaaS is starting to have traction that's real, meaning enough reoccurring users, enough revenue. So even if it takes you longer to show that because you're not working full time on it, excuse me, keep the money flowing in your business and keep the school going. So yeah, 22 is young, dude. Now's the time to do it. By the way, if you guys are thinking about starting a SaaS business or start freelancing, you transition into that so that you have a smooth glide path. You're not under the gun. I need the money. You never want to go into a deal where you're desperate for money. And do it when you're young. 22 is a great age. Fantastic. The mistake I've seen people make is they try to start their first business at 40 or even older, 50, and they get shit hammered because business is a skill and it takes time to develop that ability. So better to make your mistakes when you're in your 20s, even your early 30s. You don't want to make these mistakes in your 40s and 50s. 40s and 50s, you should be well on your way to making your money. You should be making money then. So yeah, that's what I would do. I would transition into that. Don't quit your jobs yet. Just focus on the side. You're young, you're 22, you're full of piss and vinegar, as I like to say. You got lots of energy. Work on the SaaS on the side. When I started my first business, I was 18. I worked a job, and that was my last job, as a bouncer in a nightclub. So I would work Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights to pay my bills in the nightclub. So that would give me my weekdays free to work on the business. Yeah, and I also went to school at one point. I used AI to polish my communications. Yeah, very good. Yeah, use it as a tool. Just use it. Thank you. No problem. I think Claude is king. It's very, very popular. I haven't used, that's one I haven't used, but perhaps it is king for code. Yeah, first live I've been able to catch. Well, thanks for joining. Code long and profit. If you like the lives, please give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. Double thumbs. I like my my bokeh hands here. About AI. AI has major problem. It often acts with excessive confidence. Well, it seems to have excessive confidence. If a developer doesn't recognize his overconfidence, they can be fed bad information and think it is good. Oh, 100%. They call it AI hallucinations. And I have been caught in these AI doom loops where the AI is saying, yeah, just do this. And you do it and it doesn't work. It didn't work. And you go, oh, sorry, I made a mistake. Just do that and just do that. So you just do that. And you go, just do this. And then next thing you know, a half an hour has passed and you're like, you mother. Yeah, you got. That's why you got to know what you're doing. Hey, how are you? Trey Brown, how you doing, man? Old school stream guy. Uncle Stef, hey, how are you? Great. Hello from Egypt. Hey, nice. That's cool. That's one of the things I like about these live streams. You get to talk to people from all over the world. Hey, how are you guys? How are we doing here? 40 from Naperville, Quebec. Bonjour. J'espère que ça va. On sabbatical, after closing my business, early AI adopter decided to try the book Python Crash Course and fell in love. Now starting your mentoring class. See you soon. Hey, very cool, man. Well, thanks for joining the mentoring class. Just follow the order of things. Start with the first course, the orientation, then the lizard wizard will go on. Everything in that program is put there for a particular reason. So, yeah, cool. Give a thumbs up. Why are there only 7 thumbs up with all of us in the chat? Yeah, it's pretty pathetic. The thumbs ratio is pretty pathetic. What's your opinion on Go? I haven't used it. People seem to like it. It's a niche language. I choose my technologies based on a need-to-nerd basis. So if I found a situation where Go made sense, I would learn it. Will you make any AI course? Yes, I did make one. It's in the mentoring program now. You are a really good teacher. Why are there 0 AI companies that are profitable? Okay, I'll get to that answer. That second question. I did put out an AI course. How do developers should work with AI? It's a high-level macro course, so that's there. If enough people ask for it, I guess I could release it as a standalone course. Right now, it's in the mentoring program. Will you make an AI? So I did make an AI course. It's an overview course. It's about, I think it's like 12, 15 lessons, something like that. All video. Why are there 0 AI companies that are profitable? Well, because it's still early stages. In the early stages of the web, none of the web companies were profitable. Most of them went bankrupt. You probably see that with a lot of the AI as well. That's normal. The way when a new technology comes out, you see this big bubble form, blows up. Then at some point pops and it deflates and then rises again. And then you get the Facebooks and the Googles and the Twitters and the YouTubes and so forth, right? That's how these things happen. Even cars, automobiles. When cars first were coming out, I think there's 100 different companies that made cars. Now they're down to the big 3 or something in North America. I was thinking of searching for something more niche like Elixir And Phoenix, would this create more opportunity on freelancing? Probably not. Freelancing is going to be dominated by the web stack, PHP, WordPress. What do you think about Web3 for freelancing? Again, not critical of the technology in terms of the technical implementation. It's like for every Web 3.0 freelancing gig, there's probably going to be 10,000 PHP, Python, PHP and WordPress gigs. There's a huge tech recession. Many are very talented people. Why don't they pivot to entrepreneurship and business like you? I think not everyone can be an entrepreneur, but some can. Well, that's it. A lot of people, they're afraid of it. Here's the thing. I have a background in psychology. I'm not a psychologist, but it was my major in university. So I kind of I frame things in that way. And think about it. Most of our lives, we've been taught to conform, show up or go to school, do these tests, pass these tests. This is how you're supposed to. This is how you're supposed to show up. This is what you got to. How you got to dress. So we've been trained. We've been trained for decades to conform and to follow the path, and so entrepreneurship is wild, man. You got to create your own way. So it requires a bit more. It's a personality choice, really. Some people thrive as entrepreneurs. Other people thrive as employees. You can be a highly successful employee. I have some friends of mine, they were employees their entire career and they're retired multimillionaires. They just work hard and did their 25 years. What's the best system to use for backend? React Native, Vanilla JS? What's easy? Again, it depends on what it is you want to do. It depends on the application. Sometimes Vanilla JS, well, backend, it's going to be Node and Express or some framework like that in the JavaScript world. For me, for most small and medium-sized web apps, backend is, I think PHP is the bee's knees, but you can produce good apps in anything. You can produce great apps in Python and Java and C# and Python and JavaScript and PHP, even Ruby. I'm a Django developer, but I'm currently working on a project we'll have a lot of data. So currently I'm learning FiberGo and Solid.js and using AI to learn it fast. Do you think it's a good idea? I've never used FiberGo, so nor Solid. I've heard of Solid, never heard of FiberGo before. Just look at the reviews and just make sure that the technology is not super niche where it will disappear in 3 years. That's the worst thing. You don't want to work with technology, even if it is superior. You don't want to work with some technology that is so hyper niche that there may not be support for it in a few years. When I code projects, it feels like using AI is cheating. Is that normal feeling? For a lot of people it is, but it's not cheating. It's just the way to optimize. Only thing you should care about, this is not a Japanese tea ceremony. A Japanese tea ceremony is all about the perfection of how you pour and make the tea. So the tea itself is not really important in the Japanese tea ceremony. But in programming, how you get that code out, whether it was with an IDE or not, or whether it was AI or not, is not really so important. All that's important is the result, the clean code and a functional app. Thanks for advice. I always appreciate your videos. Have you thought about adding any courses, tutorials about AI agentic development to Studioweb? I added an AI course. It touches on agentic, but it's high level. The reason I decided not to go in super detail with my AI course is because it's always changing. So I cover agentic, I cover custom GPTs, I cover vibe coding. So I cover the big topics, how to properly work with an LLM so you get a better result. That's what I teach in that course. So it is there, but it's in the mentoring program. If you want that, say in the comments below you'd like to see that course standalone. I could maybe put it out there as a standalone. By the way, just one more time, Uncle is here answering questions, and out of 29 people here, there are only 7 thumbs. I'm just saying this because he is taking time for us. Pay it forward with a thumbs up. I appreciate that. A thumbs is much appreciated. When you are old, the body hurts. It's not fun with pain. Young people do not understand this. Yeah. Take advantage of your youth. Appreciate your youth. Don't envy the older people like me because we have money and you don't. Don't envy that. And I envy your youth. And invest in yourself now, mentally, psychologically, and physically. So, for example, I'm getting myself back in shape. Fortunately for me, I trained really hard. I was trained to become a professional fighter at one point. And I trained really, really hard for years. And my body remembers that when you train really hard in your youth, you're literally optimizing the structure of your whole body, your muscular system, your skeletal system, everything, your neurological system. And even in, let's say you do this for 5-10 years where you train really dedicatedly, from your 20s to your 30s, we'll say. And let's say you decide to take 10 years off, life happened, or 20 years off, you come back, you will regain where you were, a lot of it anyway, much, much more quickly than somebody who never trained. So when you're young, invest in yourself. And now if you're old and your body is hurting, I think it's a function of age, but it's a big time a function of diet and lifestyle. Diet and lifestyle. I have been able to reduce some really painful injuries through strict low-carb diet, fasting, some extended fasting. I had a problematic knee because I used to kick a lot with this knee here. And the knee pain is gone. After years and years, I used to have a locked knee. I used to have to pull it open like this every morning, and I would be limping. This went on for years, like a decade. So then I started fasting for just weight loss purposes. And I did a 36-hour fast. I woke up one day, and the first time in like 10, 15 years, my knee was like 90% better. I couldn't believe it. It's because of something called autophagy. Anyway, off on a little tangent there. Agree, need ethics and governance. Hey, Trey, you were so right about analysis paralysis. It's like with coding, you just have to write a line, then stack more. Exactly. Tutorial hell is a form of analysis paralysis where you're always trying to prep and get ready. It's one of my problems. People who are attracted to coding, I'm guessing a lot of them are kind of like me in the sense that you're into perfection, you're into refinement, and you keep on wanting to refine, but you never get out there. I remember I used to do that when I was in my first business. It had nothing to do with technology. We had labels for products that we were selling, and I was designing the labels and so forth. And I remember my partner at the time, he was like, Stef, we have to sell. We have to sell, meaning I had to stop trying to perfect the labels, and the packaging. And I had to get out there and sell. He was right. And I still do this. I still do. I got so many cameras. I got so many cameras. So I got my Sony camera here. So I bought this because I'm chasing like the perfect picture, the perfect video that does not exist. So I got the Sony. And then I saw the Nikon. I said, oh my God, the Nikon looks good. So I bought the Nikon camera. Then I got 2 other cameras here. And at the end of the day, I don't really need all these things. But it's like just trying to perfect the image. And then I had to say to myself recently, I said, Stef, you're not making Lord of the Rings here. You're not making Dune 3. You're just talking about coding, Christ. So I had to calm down on trying to make the perfect video. So same thing with coding. You just want to get it out there right. Same thing with design. Same thing with combat. Yo. Code long and profit. That's one of my tests when I used to hire nerds. Go, can you do this? If they can do that, chances of them getting the job went up 25%. If they could do double guns, the chance of them getting hired went up by 46.9%. All right, what else do we got here? What is your most hilarious mistake you made in your dev career? Should I admit it? 2 mistakes. Shutting down my online dating site filled with tens of thousands of swingers. I should have jumped in on that game. I was making money there. This is back in the 90s. That was mistake number one, because that was so fun to code for obvious reasons. Number two, with one of my apps, we had so many users on it. When everybody would log in the morning, the whole system would start to crash. It couldn't handle the load. And I architected, but I hadn't written the code on the app for a while. So the whole thing just kept crashing. And so I used to dread Monday mornings because I knew the thing. And so I started putting just more and more server on it, meaning I had huge amounts of RAM on it, huge amounts of caching. And then we started building all these microservices to help speed up the app. I spent a huge amount of money trying to get this thing to work because we just had too much load. And then one day, my lead developer, this was over a period of about a year or so. So then my lead developer, he leaves. I get a new lead developer in. And I say, yeah, we got this big problem. We're going to have to rewrite the whole thing. We can't handle load, and we're getting more and more clients. So he said to me, well, have you indexed the tables, meaning indexed the database tables? I go, of course we did. Of course they were indexed. I assumed that my previous developer had properly indexed the tables, but I didn't check. So anyway, so I decided, you know what, I'm going to check just in case. So long story short, the guy didn't index the table properly. It was like a rookie mistake. It was such a basic thing. I just assumed that he did it properly. Long story short, once I indexed, I went in there, double checked, and within like a few minutes, I said, oh, he didn't index the table properly. So I applied the index, boop, and all of a sudden the whole app just sped up like 10,000%. Indexing is super important in relational databases. So I had spent thousands of dollars a month on server hosting to try to manage the load, built all these microservices, and all that had to be done was put a bloody proper index on the right table. That was it. That was the whole problem. So that was pretty embarrassing. But yeah, so there you go. That was the most hilarious thing. It cost me lots of money. I lost more hair because of it, because I was always dreading Monday morning when the clients would start using it. It was a tool used in what am I looking at? Large enterprise. There's a huge difference between CLI agent, AI code development for a whole project, and the AI most of you guys have used with the prompt and the IDE and the code snippet. Yeah, I've never used a CLI agent, so that's not in my purview of knowledge. But again, there's something I got to learn. Like, you got to learn. Try OpenAI Codex CLI game changer. Okay. Hello, Uncle Stef. What do you think of taking a bootcamp today or in 2026? Pick the right one. That said, I would suggest you check out my mentoring program. It's far, far less expensive, and you probably learn a lot more. AI does go off the rails. Yes, it does. Your initial prompt must include, don't make any assumptions, ask and list any unknowns for me to answer. That's a good suggestion, by the way. I like that. That's a great suggestion. That's such a simple, great. Okay, there we go. JI813. That's the comment of the evening. 2 thumbs up for you. That's so simple, but that's so true. I was talking to a friend of mine who has an AI startup. He did a lot of AI research at Meta, so he knows his game. One of the things he told me, a lot of the AI hallucinations are actually assumptions, bad assumptions. So that simple prompt is huge. It's great. I mean, I'm going to take a screenshot of that so I can remember. Otherwise, I'll forget. Hold on. There we go. How we do it for time? Oh, almost an hour. Wow. I wouldn't mind a demo of how to set up Visual Studio with one of the popular AI and some ideas how to work with it. I'm sure you can find a bunch of tutorials out there on that. I don't have. How's the snow in Montreal? It's actually been very light so far this year. We haven't had any major snowfalls, so it's been pretty light. I'm an electronics engineering technician. I want to change career. In my city, There are not many embedded positions. There are a lot of full stack positions. Should I focus on full stack? Yeah, do it. When you're looking into a new career, whether it be in coding or whatever, first thing to do is look at the job market, study the job market, spend a week or two before you invest in learning some new skill set for a career change. Spend a couple of weeks studying the job market. Talk to people. Do some job searches. Talk to some companies. Say, hey, I'm interested in becoming a developer. What are the chances you hire me as a full stack developer if I get good? And talk to embedded position companies. Maybe you'll find that there may not be as many embedded position jobs, but maybe there's much less embedded position developers. So it creates an opportunity there. What tech would Netflix, Uber, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter use for social media enterprise web apps? Well, they all use different ones, right? They all use different ones. PHP initially was built with, Facebook was initially built with PHP, and then they created their own custom version to deal with speed issues. Twitter famously went from Ruby, I'm not sure if it was on Rails or not, but anyway, to something else because they just couldn't keep up with the load. Depends what you're doing. But definitely you're not going to be, I would not be developing a high bandwidth concurrent system with Python or Django or anything. Although I think YouTube might still have some Django roots. You see, big apps could have different aspects, can be made with different things at different aspects. So for example, Studioweb, the heart of it is PHP. And one part of it used to be way back in the day before I ported it to Laravel. We were on this thing called Code Igniter because that was the predominant framework of the day. And then we created a bunch of microservices with JavaScript and not with JavaScript, with Laravel. And we fed the old system JSON objects. So part of your system could be like Amazon, for example, parts of their system are in C because they need that bandwidth. So you would have to look into it. There's so much money to be made when things go off the rails, self-driving cars, planes and drones, etc. It's going to be chaos, black swan events incoming. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity now. It's now like 50 views to 42 likes. Right now, I'm showing 85 to 48. 85 viewers to 48. See, consistency is king in everything. When I used to do my live streams on a regular basis, I would get 300-400 people. Now, anyway, people will come back. How I can secure more opportunities on freelancing with PHP and WordPress, especially that it feels so hard to secure a gig. I talked about that. You go look early on in the stream. You can look at videos on YouTube where I talk about how to get gigs and stuff. How can I secure? Okay, full send, Misha. Would like the AI course. Learning from a book sucks, and some teachers are not good. Your breakdown is great. How can I like how you small chunk content? I appreciate it. Thanks. Carbs are the alcohol of food. Yeah, pretty much. And alcohol is carbs too. Yeah, I found as I've gotten older now that I'm old and decrepit, I found that the less carbs, processed carbs, breads, pastas, sugar, fruit juices, a lot of fruit, the less I eat of that, the more meat I eat, the better I feel. Bucket tier, I don't know what that is. Muay Thai 3 times a week, water, creatine, low carb, and Adderall. That's it. Now we'll do it. All right. Wow, over an hour already. So I'm going to be wrapping up. It's been over an hour. I appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the stream. And if you give me a thumbs up, there's 86 people. If you guys give me a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. And if you have any questions after the stream goes offline, post a question below the video. Talent. Why is that in countries like Latin America, there are a lot of easy to pick SaaS products that do exist in the US and Europe, but no one has solved those problems over there? Language, I think, is an issue. Language is an issue. Joe. All right. So again, guys, I'm going to be wrapping it up over an hour. I'm trying to limit it so that I have energy. So I'll be coming back on Thursday at 7. So that's my schedule now. Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. New York time. Do you think that in the future companies will search for more developers that are specialized in AI? 100%. It's already happening. It's already happening. I tell people, if you're a junior, you want to stand out, you want to get that job, don't be the React developer. Be the React developer who happens to be very, very, who knows AI. Who knows how to use AI with React and so on and so forth. All right. I'll keep that in mind. It's a short course. I don't know. It's like 40 minutes or something. All right. All right, guys. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. I hope you had fun. And yeah, I'll leave you with my ASMR video. This is, I'm going to show you a video. This is me and I shot this in Maine a few years back, several years back, actually.